Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about a different topic from technology perspective. This is a perspective of wealth creation from technology, creating wealth from our understanding of this entire sector. Now, as tech practitioners, admirers, or devotees, which is the term I like, we often spend a lot of time learning more about new technology. We also spend time in innovating, designing complex enterprise infrastructure, or securing enterprises. We are at the front end of this mega trend which is changing the world, this mega trend of technology. I'm sure, as you would have realized, in past so many years, the number of apps that we use on our mobile phone has increased compared to the number of apps that we use on our systems. Our parents, our elders, they are used to technology. However, a lot of us don't think about the wealth that's created by this industry that we're part of. Typically, people who get rich from this tech are either founders, CEOs, bankers, financial institutions, and other business owners. Most people that I know of, they talk about a particular person who created this startup, got acquired by a large multinational in millions of billions of dollars, and they get rich. Okay. However, the number of such people who've been successful is very limited. Most people don't realize that they can also generate wealth by understanding their industries better. I know people who work for a great company. However, they don't even invest in the same company that they work for because they don't understand the basics of stock market. They would know how great their company is, they would know how they are doing, but they still don't think about investing because they don't understand about stock investing. Now, if you can't start the next groundbreaking tech company and still want to generate wealth, then this is the podcast for you. This particular episode. This idea has been with me for many years now, and my belief got better every time I spoke to a tech person or a business executive in my line of work. I know so many people in cyber who exactly knew when a particular technology got popular, how massively it grew, but they still didn't generate any wealth from it. That's the idea I want to talk about today. After today, I would want you to look at every company both from learning perspective, learning about technology, as well as wealth generation perspective. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a registered financial advisor. This is my personal view. As I've learned over the years, I've seen mistakes that I've made. Remember, all your investments are at your risk. Please speak with your financial consultant before making any decisions regarding investing. With that, let's get started. Okay. So, first of all, why invest in tech? So, one, this is a multi-trillion dollar industry. If you are looking at the YouTube, or if you go to my YouTube channel, I'm showing a picture where it shows the breakup of the entire industry into software, device and infrastructure, tech services, telecom services, and emerging tech. Okay, that's the map. The reason we should invest in tech because the understanding of this domain comes to us naturally. Okay, now, of course, these are high level five domains: software, devices, infrastructure, tech services, telecom, and emerging tech, right? But this goes further. Okay. Now, if I have to classify the entire tech industry into major components, one is the OEM part, OEMs, or original equipment manufacturers. These are the companies that are doing the original innovation. These are the companies that are creating those chips, those hardwares, those software industry in the industry. These softwares are consumed by businesses directly, so it's a B2B or it can be B2C. Example, a software created by an end user, like Instagram is a software used by end users, created by Meta, okay, now owned by Meta, not created. But WhatsApp, an interesting software which is used both by end users as well as businesses for doing payments, at least in certain countries in the world. Okay. Now, the other component of this industries are system integrators, consultants. These can be generic. So what that means is they can build an entire infrastructure for a manufacturing company. Let's say a manufacturing company wants to adopt to a new software. These system integrators can help them do that job. Or if this company, let's say there's a new car manufacturer, they want to learn their infotainment, make their infotainment system. So this particular system integrator has that capability to build that infotainment system. And then this could be industry specific system integrators. So example, somebody who understand finance or fintech very well. Okay, so system integrators or providers are available for each industry, or they are very generic in nature. Now, the other thing to understand is how the tech is used. So let's look at how a typical enterprise would use tech. Okay, so let's say you are a company that makes drugs, pharma, right? So they would deploy certain infrastructure which is relevant to industry, which is any infrastructure for drug research, drug creation, innovation, etc. Okay. However, in today's world, you will also deploy some core technology. This would include some basic IT infrastructure, which could include servers, databases, applications, frameworks, etc. And you would either use a cloud service provider, or you would go with your own data center where you will host, and then you will hire people with relevant skill sets to run those data center and infrastructure. Then you would also go within your industry specific apps. After that, you will go for certain ERP, CRM, HR, workspace solutions, ITSM, etc. Okay, because you're going with various branches. If you're a large company, you might need networking, routing, and once you have network in place and applications and servers in place, you might need some performance monitoring products. Okay, like network monitoring, application infra monitoring, and then you would of course need cybersecurity. Okay, because you're building or doing research that includes intellectual property theft, risks, and you don't want cyber criminals to come after your original innovation, so you would want cybersecurity. Okay, now that's very generic in nature, right? So as you can understand, any company today needs tech. They run on tech. Okay, some companies are digital first, or digital banks are very common now. At least in India, where I'm located, we have tons of digital only companies. There are no branches. They run completely on mobile banking and web based banks. Okay, or essentially a web application. Now let's look at some of these sectors. Okay, or hype or trends that have been there. So I remember in 2022 December, metaverse was the topic that everyone was talking about. So on your screen, if you're on YouTube, what you would find is a metaverse market map. So how I typically understand about an industry is I start with high level map of everything, and these things you can easily Google. So in the entire metaverse market, there were some basic capabilities that were needed. So things like hardware wallets, GPUs, e-commerce specific players, so there is marketplace, hardware, mixed reality provider, exchange traded funds, virtual worlds, cloud computing, 5G and connectivity, blockchain, crypto, NFT based technologies. So then, specific companies on user experience, etc. Okay. So if you have to divide this entire market, it was into specific economy, infrastructure, user experience, and other. So infrastructure is one layer which is common across entire industry. Remember that. Okay, we'll come to this point. Okay. Now, when I was looking into metaverse from investing point of view, I selected some of the companies that I think will do well. Now, you might understand that not every company is listed. You can't buy their stocks directly. However, if you understand this domain well and you have right connects and you're in the right country, maybe using crowdfunding platforms, angel lists, etc., you can do early investments. Okay, I prefer to trade or invest into companies that are listed on stock exchange. It's my style. Okay, that's my preference based on my risk appetite. Again, it will have different risk appetite based on our personality. Okay, so that's metaverse market map. Then came AI. So in early this year, as the talk of AI started, I also posted some content talking about AI landscape, and essentially the AI landscape has again the infrastructure and the apps part, right? So that's how every market would be. Same goes with metaverse, same thing with AI, right? So infrastructure specific to AI would include the hardware, so chips, chip manufacturers, your cloud service providers, your data warehouses, data lakes, your data processing companies. You would have some infrastructure for monitoring those algorithms, and then the full stack LLM models, software that are specific to a particular industry. You will have general enterprise stack, which is common across all these companies, and then you would apps that are for various consumer uses. Okay, for example, ChatGPT from OpenAI is a end user app, okay, for a dialogue based interaction. Okay, and then something like Clean or AlphaSense, these are general productivity apps, right? So on and so forth. So similarly, AI has this entire landscape. Okay, then cybersecurity, of course, our favorite. I'm a cybersecurity devotee, as I said earlier. So this is an old picture from Momentum, but essentially it talks about how the entire industry is broken into the domains of network and infra security, web security, endpoint, application sec, MSSPs, data security companies, mobile security, risk and compliance, security operations and incident response, threat intelligence, identity and access management, IoT, messaging security, digital risk management, fraud and transaction security, cloud security, blockchain security, etc. Okay, and these things will keep coming, will keep evolving as the tech infrastructure evolves, right? So as you would have understood, as new things come up, as technology evolves, there is always a market landscape that you have to understand. The good part about tech is that it is evolving, and that's what keeps the excitement going. The bad part is it's evolving because companies come, they grow, or they die. Okay, so you have to be very careful about where you are putting your money. Okay? Now with that, let's look at how to invest into such company. What are the possible options that exist? Okay, there are tech focused mutual funds, and then there are tech focused ETFs. Okay, so for example, at least in India, I know there are IT sector specific funds. We have a lot of companies listed in India, both from system integration point of view. These are global system integrators as well as other system integrators that are specific into domains. There are marketing tech companies, there are communication platforms, etc. Okay, but let's look at ETFs. So there are ETFs available both in India and in US at least. There are ETFs available in India that invest into the NASDAQ 100, which is the index for top 100 tech companies in US. So you can, at least if you believe in this, that you have to invest in tech because tech will stay, tech will is in this idea makes sense, and then you at least you can do is invest into the index. This index has generated decent amount of return. Just do a Google on how much Nasdaq has returned on an average over year on year, and then compounding takes over after some years, and then you can generate decent amount of wealth. Now so beyond Nasdaq 100 or India ITBs, you can get into focused funds. So there are companies like ARC, Roundhill, iShare. Reminder, I don't have any sponsorship from these companies. I'm just mentioning what I've read. So these companies have specific funds that are focused on technology. They are on hardware, AI. Roundhill has specific AI related ETF. iShare has something related to cybersecurity. There are now ETFs available on Bitcoin, etc., and cryptocurrency, blockchain, all these related technologies. Or if you understand your market well, you can go into specific stocks. So for example, I understand cybersecurity decently well, so I have invested into particular cybersecurity stocks. Okay, now as far as my investing process is concerned, what I have done is I have invested into ETF from long-term wealth perspective. So this is my 20-30 years kind of goal. I'm putting certain amount of money every month into this particular Nasdaq ETF. Uh, for short term and medium term, what I do is, as new tech trends come, I invest into certain companies that are common. So for me, in example, if you would have realized in the three topics that I mentioned, three sectors that I mentioned, or trends that I mentioned: metaverse, AI, cyber security. What's the most common basic layer? Hardware, as well as the cloud, or in CSPs. Okay. Then what I do is I go into particular sector. So because I come from a long understanding of this domain, so I know which companies are leaders in their particular use case in the cybersecurity industry. So I know who's a leader in the IIM space. I know who's a leader in network infrastructure, who's a leader in application security, etc. Okay, so I understand my space, so I invest into those companies. Okay, what I also do is I use charts, or something called as technical analysis, to look at how the price is moving over a period of time, and then I make decisions. Okay, so for example, in so I if you are on YouTube, and I highly recommend everyone to look at my YouTube video, what you can do is you can, I've broken down my watch list, which is a list of companies I can potentially invest into, or you can invest into. And this is again not a fully exhaustive list. These are common companies that everybody knows about. So there are cloud providers, right? Then there are ETFs. So these are exchange traded funds that contain a mix of companies, or a collection of companies, essentially called a basket based investing, that focus on a particular sector. So example, there is an iShares ETF that is focused on semiconductors. So if you believe that semiconductors will grow, everybody will need more semiconductors, then the least risky is to get into this ETF. Okay, now if you understand semiconductors as an industry very well, you understand the players, you understand supply chain, the competitive modes or advantages, then you go after a particular stock. Okay. Also, chat is another ETF that's focused on generative AI and technology. Okay, and similarly you have AI focused platforms, you have metaverse focused platforms, you have general enterprise stacks. Okay, like ServiceNow, MongoDB, Datadog, etc., Oracle, SAP. So you look at these stocks. Then you have gaming stocks, which very popular across younger kids. I'm sure some adults like me. Then you have networking companies. You have companies that focus on end users or small and medium businesses. And then you have cybersecurity companies. Okay, so if you look into a particular company, you can just compare these companies and decide how to which companies to invest. Again, these are things that you have to learn from a financial guru and investment guru. I have my mentor, so I always learn from him. I take his advice, and I've implemented whatever I've learned from him into my investing process. So what I've done is, my mentor is generally an investing mentor. He doesn't understand technology or cybersecurity like I do. I've taken his principles, applied into my domain, and that's how I've been investing for some time. Okay, so example, one of the trades that I've taken is Nvidia. I was able to get into an early entry into Nvidia. I made decent returns, and I'm still riding some of the investment. Same, I know certain companies in cybersecurity who are doing well, so I'm investing into those. I've invested into specific ETFs and other companies, right? So I have my own principles and rules that I follow. But the summary of this content is that understand this industry well. Okay, most people think that by switching jobs they can make good amount of money. No, I think the right approach is to understand about your sector, understand the business that your company does, learn more about your business, company's business, help them generate more revenue, by focusing on things that you do, and then start tracking your competitor or company's business analysis, or the fundamentals, mix technical analysis on top of it, get a investing or trading mentor to learn the game and always keep learning. Okay. I personally started doing this 4 5 years back. 3 years back, I decided to have my own guru, and I've implemented that process. It's giving decent returns, but I know I am on the right track. Okay. What I've also realized is once you start understanding the stock parts or how the businesses work, you understand more about your business, your company, and you get a long-term view of your company's board or management. This was never my thought process. I've always focused on short-term thinking on what I'm doing in my role, etc. But once you start reading all about your sector and what this entire industry is going through, you then start to make connections between what your company is trying to do versus where the industry is going, and it helps you make right decision in your career path also. Okay. With that, thank you so much. If you have any questions, please drop comments on Twitter or on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.